I arrived late to the class reunion, and I had brought my son with me, which caused everyone to stare. "When did you get married?" someone asked, before their voice trailed off as their eyes, and everyone else's, turned toward the elegant, poised woman at the head of the table. Everyone in that room knew that Ilara Vance and I had once had a dramatic, all-consuming relationship, and that I had been the one to break up with her when she was at her lowest point. Someone tried to smooth over the sudden tension. "I hear our Ms. Vance has some good news, too. It's that young master from the Harrison family, right? What a perfect match." Ilara looked directly at me, a smile on her face that didn't quite reach her eyes. "The wedding is in 2 months," she announced. "You and your son's mother should both be sure to come." I pressed a hand to my chest and forced a bitter smile, replying, "Of course." "Adam, is that you? Long time no see. You have a kid now?" All eyes fell on the little boy standing by my side. I simply nodded and said, "My son, Noah." Mr. Davis, our old class president, who was sitting by the door, looked genuinely stunned. "When did you get married? You didn't even post about it online." At his words, the entire room went quiet again, all eyes turning back to the woman at the center of the private room. Everyone present knew that she and I had gone from rivals to lovers, our lives completely entangled for 7 years. They once thought we would be tangled up like that for the rest of our lives. "We haven't heard a peep from you in years," another classmate chimed in. "We thought you'd forgotten all about us old classmates." "Yeah," someone else added. "You didn't even invite us to your wedding." I smiled, raising my glass and drinking 3 in a row as an apology. "The first is for being late," I said. "The second is for being too busy to make it to any reunions all these years. And the third is for getting married without telling anyone." The cold liquor hit my stomach, and I immediately felt a wave of discomfort. They quickly waved their hands, insisting, "We're all old friends. No need to be so formal." My arrival was just a minor interruption to their evening. Soon, everyone's attention shifted back to Ilara. The poor girl who, back in school, couldn't even afford a proper school uniform had transformed into a major power broker in New York City. She was dressed in an expensive designer suit, looking successful and accomplished, with a handsome fiancé to boot. Someone suddenly asked, "Ms. Vance, when are you and the Harrison heir getting married? Think we could score an invitation to the reception?" Ilara replied coolly, "The wedding is in 2 months. You'll all receive invitations." Her face softened with a genuine smile as she mentioned the wedding. She must be truly happy. Back in school, Ilara had spent her entire scholarship fund, forcing her to live on bread for a week, just to buy Julian Harrison a designer tie clip. Later, when Julian was getting bullied, Ilara, the model student, got into her first fistfight and was almost expelled for it. "I can't believe Julian is from the Harrison family," someone mused. "You'd never have guessed it in high school. I heard he had it rough back then. His stepfather treated him terribly." Ilara spoke slowly. "My fiancé and I have both finally seen the light at the end of the tunnel." That one sentence silenced all the chatter in the room. I lowered my head, fiddling with the plain ring on my ring finger without saying a word. She raised her glass. "Please save the date. I hope you can all be there." She then looked at me, the only person still sitting. "Adam," she said, her voice flat, "you and your son's mother make sure you both come." I gave a pale smile and was about to stand up and agree when a small, clear voice piped up beside me. "We can't." My son clenched his little fists. "My mom is blind. She can't make it. We wish you and that man a long and happy life." A few drinks later, it was getting late, and I decided to take Noah and leave first. Just as I stood up, Elara spoke. "Let's all head out together." Her gaze fell on something just past me. "My fiancé is here to pick me up. I don't want to keep him waiting." The crowd erupted in teasing. "Wow, Ms. Vance, way to rub it in our faces." I remember in high school, Elara was so cold to everyone. "I can't believe how sweet she is with her fiancé." That's what happens when you find true love. Adam, if you hadn't broken up with her back then, that could be you right now. I let out a bitter laugh. That's all in the past. Noah tugged on my hand. "Daddy, why didn't you tell them what really happened with you and Mommy back then?" I knelt down and spoke to him patiently. "They don't really care about me, and they don't really care about Elara. They just love drama. The truth doesn't matter to them. What matters is that we know." So much time had passed. The rights and wrongs of the past didn't seem so important anymore. Not far away, a black Porsche pulled up to the hotel entrance. A handsome man got out, smiling, a woman's trench coat in his hand. Julian sounded a little helpless as he spoke to Elara. "We had a deal, remember? No coming home smelling like alcohol." Elara smiled, her eyes soft, and she let him drape the coat over her shoulders. I suddenly remembered a quote I'd seen a few days ago. "To marry the man you always wanted to marry, right at the peak of your success." "Isn't your wife coming to get you?" an old classmate asked casually as he was getting into his car. I shook my head. "She's busy. I already called for a rideshare." My words, though spoken softly, reached Elara's ears. Her long, slender fingers suddenly gripped the car door. "For old time's sake, let's give them a ride home." I looked up, startled. "No, that's okay, A notification popped up on my phone. "Your driver has canceled the trip." The wind sobered me up a little. Elara's lipstick was still a vibrant red. "What, are you still holding a grudge? Don't make things harder on yourself. It's hard to get a car at this hour. If you won't think of yourself, at least think of your son." As she finished, her eyes landed on Noah. For some reason, she always felt an indescribable sensation whenever she looked at him. Noah quietly studied the woman in return. I didn't refuse again. "In that case, thank you." I got into the car with Noah. The familiar scent of the car's air freshener filled my nose. It was an environment I knew all too well, except back then, I was always the one who claimed the passenger seat, making Elara my personal driver. She had indulged me, letting me get away with anything in this car. "Mr. Johnston, we're here." The assistant's voice pulled me back to reality. Before I left, she handed me the car keys. "From Ms. Vance. She said this was the car you gave her back then. Now that she's getting married, she felt it wasn't right to keep it." I clutched the familiar keys. The little dog keychain I'd bought for it was still attached. "I understand." The assistant didn't leave. I had Noah go inside first, then turned back to her. "Is there something else?" The assistant asked politely. "You disappeared for so long. Is there a reason you suddenly came back?" "Did Elara ask you to say that?" The assistant denied it. "No." I gave a light, breezy smile. "I just felt like coming back. No special reason." The assistant studied me, then spoke slowly. "I've been with Ms. Vance since she started her company. I know how much she's suffered over the years. You once nearly destroyed her. It was only when Mr. Harrison came along that she started to live like a normal person again. So please, I'm asking you to do her a kindness and leave her alone." I took a deep breath, fiddling with the keys. She and I were tangled up for a long time. I know her. She won't look back, and neither will I. I went back home. My best friend, Mark, was playing video games with Noah. I exchanged a few words with them but didn't interrupt their game. Seeing Elara again after 4 years, I could still remember how red her eyes were when we broke up. She had been so thin and exhausted, her eyes filled with disbelief. She had demanded to know what she was to me, asking if she was just some accessory I could toss aside whenever I felt like it. The truth was, Ilara and I were too similar, both far too stubborn. We would argue and fight, but neither of us would ever say a single word to stop the other from leaving. After a particularly bad storm in our lives, calmness and reason finally took over. She had said, "Once this is all over, let's break up." The sound of the wind conveniently masked my choked sob as I replied, "No need to wait. If we're going to break up, let's not pick a time." That night, I moved out of the apartment Ilara and I had rented together. A week later, a friend of Ilara's called me, furious on her behalf. "Adam, do you even have a heart?" she yelled. "Your family went bankrupt and racked up a huge debt, and Ilara nearly killed herself paying it off for you. And now that you're done using her, you just kick her to the curb?" Then she sent me a photo from Ilara's phone. Ilara was lying on the cold floor of our rental, her face pale, her lips purple, her body covered in bruises and blood. "She's completely reckless," the friend wrote, "to do this for a man like you, to keep being a human punching bag to earn money for your debts, even after you broke up." So that's what she meant by, "once this is all over." The stinging smell of antiseptic alcohol filled my nostrils from that memory. I had fought through the sharp pain and replied to the friend, "That was her being stupid. Bad judge of character." "Yeah, it was," the friend texted back. But then Ilara, mustering her last bit of strength, grabbed the phone. Her voice came through, laced with sarcasm. "Adam, the money you gave me back then, I've now paid it all back with interest. It's all over, just like you wanted. We're even." There was a knock on the door. "You're not asleep yet, are you, Adam?" Mark handed me a glass of warm milk. "Noah is already asleep." He looked at me, a hint of regret in his eyes. "Your condition is stable now. Are you sure you don't want to try and reconcile with Ilara? You know, even though Noah doesn't say it, he really wants a mom." I clenched my fists and gave a bitter smile. "You know how ugly our breakup was. Besides, she's about to get married. What am I supposed to do? Go be the other man?" Mark sighed. "You're right. It's been 6 years. You should move on. By the way, how did it go asking your old classmate to help you find a job at the reunion? Did she agree?" I nodded. "She did, more or less." "That's good. Get a stable job first and get started on your new life." I heard the worry in his voice. "Don't worry," I reassured him. "My condition is very stable now. Something like that won't happen a second time." Thanks to my old classmate Chloe, I found a decent-paying job here. On my first day, the department manager, Mrs. Grant, helped me get settled. She gave me a detailed overview of the company and the department. "Don't worry, Miss Lou gave us a heads up, so we'll all take good care of you. If you need anything, just let me know. Here's the project info for our latest work. You can start by getting familiar with it." I nodded, but then a familiar figure caught my eye. A woman in a black pantsuit, her figure slender, her profile sharp. A few assistants were scrambling around her, frantically reporting on project progress. She brushed past me, and for a moment, I had no idea whether I should say hello. After she was gone, I realized with a self-deprecating sigh, she was an ex. Not saying hello was the normal thing to do. Mrs. Grant clicked her tongue and whispered, "That woman is basically our biggest client now. Don't let that movie star face fool you. The one that drives. All the young guys here crazy. She's absolutely ruthless. She's rejected our department's project proposal several times already." I froze. Will my work require me to interact with her? Mrs. Grant thought for a moment. Our department has to deal with her a lot, but you just got here, so probably not for now. Why, you two have a history? I thought you were like the other young guys, hoping for a chance to get closer to her. I gave a bitter smile. You could say that? I finally understood why Chloe had been so quick to offer me a position at her company. The department atmosphere was great, and I learned a lot in just one day. When it was time to leave, Mrs. Grant suggested a team dinner. She said she wanted to take me to a really delicious restaurant near the office. We were all laughing and joking as we went to order. I never expected to run into Chloe and Alara. What a coincidence! Chloe's eyes darted back and forth between me and Alara. Perfect timing. I was just discussing something with Ms. Vance. Why don't we eat together? We're all old friends here anyway. She raised an eyebrow. Ms. Vance's treat, how about it? Alara stared at me silently. After a long moment, a sound emerged from her throat. Fine. With Alara and Chloe there, the team dinner turned into a business meal. No one spoke much. Everyone just buried their heads in their food, wishing the ordeal would end quickly. It was Alara and Chloe who did the talking, first about work, and then they started reminiscing about a track meet in high school. My colleague, a young guy named Tom, lowered his voice and joked, Ms. Lou is completely shameless. She ran in our company's relay race once, and it was a total disaster. We all had to force ourselves to praise her. But Ms. Vance looks like she's had training. I heard you were all classmates with them. Did you ever see her compete? In high school, I never knew Alara had won awards at track meets. In my memory, she was always sitting alone in the classroom, working through complex math problems, indifferent to everything else. It wasn't until our sophomore year of college, after we got together, that we were walking past the track one day. I casually complimented one of the athletes on the field. The next day, she signed up for a race. I laughed and teased her about being so competitive. She took it as a compliment. Make sure you get a front row seat. But the day I was supposed to go watch her race, full of excitement, turned out to be the beginning of our tragedy. On my way to the track, I got an urgent call from my father's assistant. The company was in crisis. My parents had been in a car accident. A mountain of debt suddenly crushed me. I don't know where I found the courage to discuss my parents' affairs with the assistant. After the call, I walked home like a zombie. In a world plunged into darkness, I couldn't see any light for the future. That day, Alara called me many times. I didn't answer any of them. I just sat, alone in the dark house, for a long, long time. It wasn't until the next morning that Alara broke down the door and threw her arms around me, a mess huddled in the corner. She said she was there. She would help me fix it. From that day on, I dragged Alara down into the abyss with me. I watched her grow thinner and thinner, the scars on her body multiplying. I lost my temper with her for the first time, telling her to stop getting involved in my mess. If the creditors wanted a piece of someone, they could just take my life. Alara stopped me, not letting me say another word. She said that two people solving a problem was always better than one. After that, she worked even harder. During the day, she skipped class to develop software to sell to tech companies. At night, she went to boxing gyms as a paid sparring partner. In just 1 year, she paid off most of my debt. I was no longer hounded by creditors. I could almost see a future. That night, we celebrated together. Reality had worn down the sharp edges of her youthful spirit. In the fast pace of our lives, we no longer had the patience for gentle foreplay. We moved in sync, getting straight to the point without any hesitation. It seemed only in those moments when our hearts hammered in our chests that we could feel the meaning of being alive. Only when our bodies were tangled together did I feel a fleeting sense of security and reality. But later, I saw the driver who had hit my parents again. I don't remember what happened that day. I only remember being taken to a psychiatric hospital. They said I had nearly killed the driver. They said people like me should be locked up in a hospital for life. My attending physician was my old doctor, Dr. Allister. He said I wouldn't be able to have contact with the outside world for a while. He asked if I wanted to call a friend to explain the situation. I thought of Ilara. I didn't want to be her burden. I didn't want to selfishly ask her to wait for me. Anyone could live without anyone else. She could, and so could I. Throughout the entire dinner, I tried my best to be invisible. Chloe seemed to get Ilara's unspoken wish and barely mentioned me. After the meal, Mrs. Grant asked me, "Want me to give you a ride home on my way?" I shook my head and declined. A few minutes later, most of my colleagues had left. I calculated the distance, 3 miles. Riding a bike share home would save me some money. "Your wife really is an invisible woman," an icy voice spoke from behind me, and the familiar scent of cedar filled my nose. Ilara stood beside me, glancing at the bike share app I had just opened on my phone, and scoffed. "Trying to pretend we don't know each other in front of your colleagues? Or are we so familiar that you don't even bother with a hello?" She lit a cigarette. Thick smoke curled around her fingertips. Ilara's assistant pulled the car around. It was the same one who had driven me home last night. Her gaze flickered over me for just a second before she opened the car door for Ilara. "You get in too," she sneered. "Either that or I stand here with you. Your choice." Halfway there, Ilara had the assistant detour to a villa. Realizing something was wrong, I told her to stop and let me out. My rejection and resistance must have angered her. Ilara suddenly grabbed my wrist, her dark eyes growing heavy. "Don't you think you owe me an explanation for what happened back then? I thought we made everything perfectly clear. Please stop the car." I struggled to pull away, but she only tightened her grip. The woman's voice rose involuntarily. "If you say it was a mutual breakup, then why have you been hiding from me all these years?" So that's what she was hung up on. I forced a smile. "I wasn't hiding. I just wanted to live somewhere else for a while." My struggles were useless. I gave up resisting and looked at her quietly. "Ilara, what are you doing right now? Is getting an answer really worth making us both miserable?" Ilara laughed. "Yes. In your eyes, all I want is an answer." She let go of my wrist and told the assistant to get out of the car. With a click, the doors locked. In the heavy air, only the sound of our shallow breathing remained. "Since you left, why did you come back?" I met her gaze calmly. "For my son. The schools are better here." Ilara nodded slightly. "And his mother? Did she agree to you moving here?" "Yes." Ilara suddenly started laughing. As she laughed, her eyes turned red. "Adam, even now, are you still going to lie to me? There is no one else. The truth is, after Ilara gave birth to Noah, I told her the baby had died from a birth defect. She couldn't accept it at the time, but her career was taking off, and being an unwed mother would have had a huge impact. I didn't want the child and me to become her burden. Under pressure from her family, she buried her grief in work and even ignored me, which was also what I wanted. She had figured it all out by now. She was his mother. But I didn't want to tell her the truth right when she was about to get married. I put myself in her shoes. When we were together, I wanted Ilara to be faithful to me, to not tolerate a single impurity in our love. Likewise, I didn't want to be the reason Julian, who deserved to be happy, felt insecure. "Let me go," I said, each word clear and distinct. "You're just bitter. Bitter that you did so much for me only to get dumped. Alara, you just want an answer, right? Well, I'll tell you. I have never once regretted breaking up with you." Because we knew each other so well, I knew exactly where to stick the knife to cause the most pain. My whole body ached as if pierced by needles, so much so that I couldn't think rationally about what I was saying. I just wanted to push her away with the most hurtful words I could find. "I couldn't stand you since high school, and I still couldn't stand you in college. Isn't it funny? I took pity on you and gave you some money, and you actually thought I loved you. My rival became my little follower, obedient and meek, someone I could summon and dismiss at will. She even nearly killed herself to save me after I went bankrupt. Tell me, wasn't that interesting?" My eyes quickly turned red, but I fought back the tears. I couldn't tell what was more pathetic, me or the situation. Alara listened quietly. She laughed coldly. "Didn't you think it was fun? Then why didn't you keep playing? Does the answer matter? Can you let me go now, Ms. Vance?" I pulled open the car door and rushed out into the open space, gasping for fresh air. Only then did the pain in my body lessen slightly. But the next second my stomach lurched, and I vomited without warning. My hands trembled, completely devoid of strength. Even my vision started to blur. "What's wrong with you?" I pushed her away and dialed Dr. Allister's number. "How did you let it get this bad? Didn't I tell you to be careful?" "I'm sorry to make you worry. Can you let Mark know for me?" Dr. Allister glanced at Alara. "Don't let your emotions get so volatile again." After Dr. Allister left, the room was once again just the two of us. I looked around. The decor was identical to our rental apartment from 4 years ago. "After all these years, you still haven't gotten over your low blood sugar." Alara held a bowl of porridge, blew on it, and brought it to my lips. For a moment, I was in a daze. The high school track meet. Out of spite, I had signed up for the 1,500-meter endurance run. You can't handle a long-distance run like that. Back then, Alara had looked up at me from her seat, a hint of exasperation in her eyes. "If you want to compete with me, you don't have to joke with your own health." I was arrogant back then. Isn't living all about fighting for your pride? In high school, I didn't understand what love was. I just felt her light was too dazzling, and I secretly began to worry that it would outshine my own. This inexplicable insecurity panicked me. It ended up manifesting as constant rivalry. I was always trying to prove I was better than her at something, as if by doing so, I could remain the person I was before. But halfway through the run, I started to feel dizzy. Though I gritted my teeth and finished, I lost consciousness right after crossing the finish line. When she found out it was low blood sugar, she went to the cafeteria and cooked me a bowl of sweet porridge. I woke up to that exact scene. The spoon clinked softly against the side of the bowl as she stirred the steaming porridge. "You made this?" In my memory, Alara was a nerd who was good at nothing but studying. "I don't have much experience. Just make do." Sunlight streamed through the infirmary window. The girl sat by my bed, patiently feeding me one spoonful at a time. The light fell on her face, and it also shone into my heart. It was a similar bowl of porridge from the same person. But time had changed everything. Nothing was the same. My nose stung and my voice choked. "Alara, you know we have no future. Let me go. You've already gotten everything you wanted. It's just because I represent your past frustrations. That's why you're losing your mind." Tears streamed down my cheeks. Alara stared blankly for a moment, then said in a hoarse voice, "Okay." As I was leaving, Mark had just arrived. I swear I'm going to slap her awake today. Does she have any idea what you— I stopped him from saying more and pulled him into the car. The burning gaze from the villa followed me. Mark slammed his fist on the steering wheel. What did that woman do to you? You haven't had an episode in ages. What is wrong with her? Don't be angry. Let's go home. Thank God for Dr. Allister, Mark pouted. Next time, call me first. I'll come find you no matter where I am, and I'll teach whoever it is a lesson for you. When we got home, Noah thoughtfully showed me the cookies he had baked that day. You're starting at a new preschool tomorrow. Are you nervous? Noah shook his head. Not nervous. His small hands wrapped around my waist. Because Daddy is here, so I'm not nervous. A child's innocence can heal so many wounds. What about Daddy? Noah looked up at me. Is Daddy feeling okay? I ruffled his hair. I'm not feeling unwell. After that day, life returned to a peaceful routine. I took Noah to school every day, then worked a full day at the office. Although the company projects inevitably involved contact with Alara, Mrs. Grant would always create a group chat beforehand so we could communicate there, which helped avoid the awkwardness of private messages. Tom rubbed his neck and complained, Is Ms. Vance in a bad mood these days? Her feedback on this project proposal is harsher than ever. Aren't people supposed to get nicer when they're about to get married? It feels more like Ms. Vance just got dumped. What can we do? We just have to revise it. She's the one who signs the checks. I felt a pang of guilt. My son is at a friend's house tonight. You guys go ahead and leave. I'll finish the rest. No way. Tom was the first to object. It's fine. Otherwise, I'll feel bad about leaving early to pick up my son next time. They always helped cover for me whenever I had to leave to get my son. They told me to just do what I could. Worst case, we'd all get chewed out together tomorrow morning. It wasn't a big deal. I opened the document and started revising based on her comments. The night sky was like ink-soaked cotton, pressing down heavily on the office building. 1:00 a.m. The project proposal was finally revised. I sent it to the group chat. Revisions are complete. Ms. Vance, please let me know if anything else needs to be changed. Alara didn't reply. She was probably already asleep. I packed my things, ready to leave. But on my way out, I discovered the company's elevator was broken. I followed the emergency exit sign at the end of the hallway and found the stairs. The 15th floor stairwell was silent and empty. The lights in the stairwell were old and broken, so I used my phone's flashlight to see my way down. I don't know how long I'd been walking. I lost my focus for a second, missed a step, and my entire body pitched forward. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my arm, yanking me back. My back hit the wall, and I finally regained my balance. Alara? The stairwell was dim, and I couldn't see her face. But I recognized her hands clearly. Yeah, Alara responded, walking ahead of me. Chloe already called someone to fix the elevator. It should be working again soon. Alara walked down with me in silence. She would occasionally glance back to check on me. When we reached the 8th floor, the stairwell lights finally flickered on. Chloe stepped out of the elevator. From now on, just leave when it's time to go home. Don't worry about messages from certain workaholics. I was confused. Ms. Liu, what are you two doing here? Chloe yawned and said, I came to get some files, and Ms. Vance happened to give me a ride. What a coincidence. We ran into you just as you were leaving. Chloe waved a stack of files in her hand. Come on, I'll give you a ride home. It's this late. You should be in bed. No, that's okay. Chloe cut me off, pointing at Alara, then at herself. My treat or her treat? Pick one. After driving a few miles, Chloe couldn't hold it in any longer. It was actually Alara who asked me to come. I wasn't surprised. I know. Chloe rolled down the window a little. I know it's not cool to sell her out, but I'm sick of seeing you two acting like this every day. In high school, everyone could see you two were into each other. How did it get so bad after college? Was it because of her and Julian? I looked down, unconsciously twisting the hem of my shirt. It was my fault. Someone who hasn't learned to love themselves properly doesn't know how to love others. During that time, I was always overly fixated on the past. Every little change in Alara made me anxious and insecure. I magnified those emotions and projected them onto her, starting hysterical arguments with her time and time again. That kind of emotion just plunges both people into endless pain and torture. What could be your fault? There was nothing between them. In high school, he just helped her out once, and she was paying him back. The car moves forward and people move forward. It's all in the past. Julian is her fiancé now. Chloe slowed down, glancing at me. If, and I'm just saying if, they weren't engaged, would you get back together with Alara? I didn't think twice. Maybe. As soon as the words left my mouth, a voice suddenly came from Chloe's phone. Julian and I are not engaged. I froze, looking at the phone on the back seat. The name Alara Vance was brightly displayed on the screen. Chloe pulled over to the side of the road and picked up the phone from the back. As the vendor, we have to be on our toes. When the client makes a request, you can't really say no. Sorry about that. I was still in a complete daze. Their engagement was just for show. When Alara was starting her career, she made a deal with Julian. He would use his resources to help her get established, and in return, she would help him become the head of the Harrison family. The engagement is temporary. Their partnership will be fulfilled even before the wedding. After explaining, Chloe spoke into the phone again. I'm pulled over right now. Do you want to come get Adam and take him home? No, it's fine. You can take him home. With that, Alara hung up. I looked out the window and saw a familiar black Maybach speed past us. After dropping Adam off at home, Chloe, utterly bewildered, called Alara. Seriously, sis? That was the perfect opportunity. And you just let him go? You made me put him in this department just so you could see him more. You come over fine, but you dragged me along to be your shield. Even a total simp isn't this extra. He wants to keep his distance from me. Alara stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, replaying their reunion in her mind. Chloe, he's not the same as he used to be. I don't know what he's been through these past few years. When he fainted in front of me last time, I was truly scared of losing him. I thought about just holding him captive or using our son to force him back with me. As long as he was by my side, I felt like I could pretend none of our fights ever happened. But I can't do it, because I love him. Seeing that look of resistance and disgust in his eyes would make me hate myself. I'm starting to think that provoking him with the Julian situation was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have burdened him with my own emotions. Maybe my return disrupted the stable life he had built. Chloe scoffed. So you're just going to play the victim? Adam has no idea you're thinking any of this. For people like them, all effort was goal-oriented. Visualizing effort and ensuring every action produced a concrete result was a fundamental skill. She couldn't understand how Alara lost all reason when it came to Adam. So, what's your plan now? You're just going to give up without a fight? Alara stared silently out the window, not answering. Ms. Vance didn't criticize our project proposal today. Not only that, I looked at the version she sent back. She fixed some of the inappropriate parts herself. Did she finally grow a conscience? Adam, did you see the group chat? Ms. Vance actually sent a, "Thanks for your hard work. The sun must be rising in the west." I hadn't slept well last night, so I just gave a few non-committal replies to my colleagues and went back to my desk. The smell of coffee stimulated my senses. I gradually came to and opened my computer to work. 3:00 p.m. I went to pick up Noah from preschool. I was a few minutes late and saw another kid push him. "Why does Ms. Stevens like you? You don't even have a mom." The little boy tore the red apple sticker off the back of Noah's hand. "I do have a mom." Noah stood up straight, his small body unyielding. The boy made a face at him. "Then where is she? How come we've never seen her pick you up? I bet your mom just abandoned you." I was about to step forward in anger, but the next second a slender figure suddenly appeared in my line of sight. Ilara radiated a cool, serious air. She looked at the boy and said coldly, "Who are your parents?" Boys at that age are bullies to the weak and cowards to the strong. He'd never seen anything like this and was so scared he wet his pants. Ilara knelt down, her voice softening. "Hasn't your daddy come to pick you up yet?" Noah stared at her with his big, round eyes. For a moment he wanted to try hugging this woman. She didn't seem as serious as he thought. But if he did that, maybe Daddy would be unhappy. Noah hesitated, and in the end, he didn't reach out. "Yeah," she spoke softly. "I'll wait with you, okay?" The boy's parent arrived quickly. Seeing his child crying and soaked, he was about to start scolding, but the moment he saw the woman, he deflated. The watch on her wrist was worth more than 3 of his houses. "I'm so sorry. I'm Ryan's father. Did he cause trouble again? Quick, apologize to your classmate." The man smacked his son's bottom hard. Sorry," the boy cried and ran away. "Kids will be kids. Now that we've met, maybe we should exchange contact information." Ilara's gaze swept over him. "If you can't control your son's mouth, I don't mind hiring someone to teach him for you." The small, round head next to her suddenly lifted a little higher. The hand holding Ilara's tightened. "Dad!" Noah saw me, quickly let go of Ilara's hand, and greeted me. "Sorry Daddy's late." "It's okay." I looked at Ilara and said, "Thank you." "It was nothing. We'll be going then." I took Noah's hand and got into the car. On the way home, a smile never left Noah's lips as he excitedly told me about his day at school. But he didn't mention Ilara once. I decided to ask him, "If Daddy can't make it to pick you up in the future, would it be okay if Mommy picked you up?" Noah blinked. "Really? Is that okay?" "Noah, she's your mother. She's a very good person. You don't have to be afraid of her. If you want to, you can try to get to know her." For the next 2 months, Ilara fulfilled her duties as a mother. She waited for Noah at the preschool almost every day, sometimes bringing him gifts, other times taking him to kid-friendly restaurants. Although she always had her team scrub the media so no related news leaked, our past was still dug up by someone with an agenda. The goal was clear: to sabotage the marriage alliance between the Vance and Harrison families. Things quickly spiraled out of control. Not only were my high school and college history with Ilara exposed, but my 4-year stay in a psychiatric hospital was also revealed. Mark, worried that this would affect my condition, stayed by my side and wouldn't let me look at my phone. "I don't know what Ilara is doing. Why isn't she shutting down these rumors?" But at that moment, I didn't feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. Instead, I felt an indescribable sense of relief. In the end, it was Julian who stepped forward. He was no longer the powerless, unfavored son of the Harrison family. He was the true heir, the one in charge. He used his power to suppress all the news. My engagement to Ms. Vance was arranged by our families, but we have no romantic feelings for each other. We are just friends, and we had already privately canceled the engagement. We were planning to announce it on a chosen date, but we didn't expect someone to beat us to it. I don't understand why someone's suffering is treated as gossip. We all went to the same high school. Mr. Johnston has always been exceptional, and he is worthy of Ms. Vance's love. All our high school classmates can attest to their feelings for each other. We don't speak up because it's their private matter. Whether they are together or not should be their decision, not ours as outsiders. The matter came to a close. Chloe rushed to find me, saying that Alara had locked herself in her house after meeting with Julian. She had gone several times, but there was no sound from inside and she wasn't answering her phone. I went with Chloe to the villa. I tried Alara's birthday for the password, but it didn't work. Try the date you two got together. It didn't work. Are there any other memorable dates? I racked my brain and tried many, but none of them worked. Chloe suddenly had an idea. Have you tried your birthday yet? The moment I finished entering the numbers, the door unlocked. The curtains were drawn tight, blocking out any sliver of light from outside. Empty wine bottles littered the table and floor. Alara was slumped on the sofa, her dark hair falling over her haggard face. The corners of her eyes were red, and her face was stained with tears. She looked like she had just been crying. Oh my God! In all these years, Chloe had never seen Alara like this. Hearing the noise, Alara slowly lifted her eyes. They were wet and full of helplessness. Alara, I called her name. She reached out and hugged me tightly, burying her face in my chest. I'm sorry. Her voice was choked with sobs. I patted her back, comforting her softly. It's okay. I never blamed you. I was the one who decided not to tell her back then. The treatment, did it hurt? I lied. It didn't hurt. Alara hugged me even tighter. It seemed only a real embrace could make her feel any warmth right now. Alara, I'm hungry. Can we go get something to eat? Chloe left first. Alara asked me what I wanted to eat. She would make it for me. I said I wanted fettuccine Alfredo. Alara paused for a moment, then said okay. I stood outside the kitchen, watching her quietly. Her hands were shaking as she cooked the pasta. For a second, I suddenly thought, maybe Alara was right. Two people solving a problem is better than one person solving it alone. If I had been honest with her about my condition back then, maybe things wouldn't have gone in the worst possible direction. Maybe my condition would have stabilized before I dragged her down. Maybe she would still have become as successful as she is today. If so, we wouldn't have been each other's burdens, but each other's salvation. The creamy pasta tasted just like it used to. Alara's cooking skills hadn't diminished at all. Let me take care of you, okay? I don't trust anyone else to take care of you. A tear dropped into the pasta. It wasn't salty. It was sweet. Okay. Maybe there's a parallel universe where we exist, where we didn't miss all this time, where we were always by each other's side. But thankfully, in this world, we didn't lose each other completely. Although the journey was winding, we will both carefully protect this love.